Oh, hello, yeah. Well, Saturday, yeah. Had a very slack end to the week, so I'm in that kind of bit kicking my heels kind of thing, you know? You get to do those boring jobs, don't you? Like cleaning up your emails and sorting out all your bookmarks that you've got, which in my case is just a whole bunch of maths, basically, which is thrilled. Anyway, yes. Yesterday was a thrilling news day, just reminds us exactly what our place is in the world, where we have to, well, just be looking at all the posh kids again. Did have to smile at the Daily Telegraph, who were reporting the Argentine bailout, and Ambrose Evans Pritchard, there's a name for you, yes, who was basically taking a bit of a dig because, well, even though he was insisting in this piece about Argentina that it wasn't done right, perhaps inevitably, because it's never done right, is it? But all the people in the comments were basically saying to him that, well, basically he was being a bit of a traitor because, after all you need to do with these things is just ignore public opinion and everything will be fine. Which got me thinking, the way that I do, knowing things about history, about, well, Chile, because Chile, under Pinochet, was a nice authoritarian regime and had a very, 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 very pure version of neoliberalism applied to it, and it didn't work. And one would have thought at that point that somebody would go back to the drawing board, which of course they didn't. They just decided to carry it on. Those of you with an actual memory and actually lived through it may remember the early days of the Thatcher regime, where we had to worry enormously about M0, and that didn't work, so then we moved to M3, because after all it's a far more sensible thing to point out and work with, yes, because we know economics, us, and it definitely will work, just given the right initial set of circumstances and the ongoing set of circumstances, and ideally a very, very authoritarian state. And if it doesn't work, well, never mind, we'll just carry on trying it, because after all the theory is correct. Gotta love that one. I mean, if I was to suggest that, communism hasn't been tried properly, people would shoot me down in flames, and perhaps rightly, but never mind, that's an argument that doesn't actually stand out when you're a writer for the Daily Telegraph. Also, I did have to smile at Richard Tice getting into a bit of a tiz with Billy Bragg, perhaps inevitably, on Question Time. Yeah, gotta have a member reform on Question Time. It's the law. Who had his Union Jack pinned the wrong way round or upside down, and yeah, inevitably. Still, it doesn't matter, does it? Doesn't matter, because Richard Tice is always right about everything, even though he's a man that is very, very, very clearly way out of his depth. Oh yes, and talking of which, my favourite news story about posh kids and what they do was yesterday, and Loza Fox, who was starting to go into a bit of a meltdown. Now, we haven't heard from Loza Fox for quite a while, but he does have 2 court cases ongoing. He's appealed against his when I called them nonces, I didn't mean they were nonces, even though I'm in court right now. And of course the upskirting one, which is still ongoing. But leaving those 2 aside, just if you want to go to his Twitter feed, this is really amusing. We've got the bright shining cross there, because nothing in my life, says piety more than Loza Fox. It's just, if I was to buy one of those children's picture dictionaries and I looked up the word piety, it would have Loza Fox's picture there, wouldn't it? It just instantaneously, you think, oh yes, man of God, definitely. And it's just, he's changed his description. He's now an enemy of the state, which is about as 12 years old and edgy as I can possibly think of, right? Okay? No, you're not, mate, okay? You're a posh kid who's just bumbled around and has met the limits of your obvious failures and insecurities. Primarily insecurities, yeah. He's the leader of the Reclaim Party. Yeah, me neither. You may recall vaguely that. No, nobody does. The Bad Law Team and Media Reclaim. Yeah, he's the leader of all of those, which is why he's now still somewhere skulking around the internet persuading people to give him money. Anyway, his big issue, this is so amusing, his big issue was with the Free Speech Union, because he's been paying money in, right? It's very, very important, because when you pay money in, you deserve a service, don't you? When you're Loza Fox, one of those nice middle-class people, pay your money, you demand a service. Anyway, the Free Speech Union had posted this. We're sorry you felt let down, Lawrence. We considered your case carefully and concluded that encouraging people to destroy ULIS cameras A criminal offence wasn't the kind of free speech we could defend. But since that may not have been clear to you when we signed up, they'll refund you the money, which is fine. But of course, Loza was very unhappy about that, okay, because it's the Free Speech Union, and he was doing speech, and it should be free. Even though, encouraging acts of criminal violence apparently is, something you should be allowed to do if you're Loza Fox. Maybe not other people. So anyway, wasn't the kind of free speech we could defend. I wasn't encouraging a criminal offence. I was supporting a freedom movement against the surveillance state. Yeah, it's them digital IDs again. Yeah, you see, he was standing up, yeah, with a beret on, like, the French resistance against the SS in the south of France. That's quite a precise one, isn't it? Anyway, Lucy Connolly was also charged with a criminal offence, so your argument is entirely hypocritical. Well, yeah, but she was banged up indoors, wasn't she? Banged up in jail before anybody sort of really noticed it. So she wasn't also a member of the Free Speech Union, and other reasons. You only take cases that make the ermine-clad establishment stooge Toadmaster look good. You don't care about free speech, you care about looking good. Yes, indeed. Which made me smile, because of course here we have one posh boy not getting exactly what he should have because he's a posh boy, having to go at another posh boy who's ripped him off for some money and under false pretensions, which should be illegal. I would take them to court if I were you. If I were you, Loza, even though, the entire system is ranged against you, it doesn't stop you, does it? Because ultimately, well, the thing is that you never get to pay, do you? No. Always has to be someone else to pay. Ideally, Toby Young. And if Toby Young had decided to take this up, we wouldn't have heard anything else about it, about how posh he was. Anyway, prior to that, because the Free Speech Union had been having a discussion with him, that's right, Lawrence, we provided Katie Hopkins with full legal support throughout this investigation. Yes, investigation rather than actual criminal case. Anyway, I've been a vocal advocate for you and paid your top-level subs since your inception, so I deserve it, right? Instead of supporting a union member, Toadmaster decided to offer me my subs back rather than help me, facing 4 years in prison for a tweet about you, Les, like a middle-class loan shark. You're not a union, you're the bank of Lord Toby Young, in my opinion. Just in case you sue me, just in case you decide, despite all of my qualifications with a bad law team, I'm a bad law team, are going to do that. Hilarious. And of course, neither of these two individuals actually get to see exactly what the rest of us do think about them, because they don't exist on that plane. Loza Fox is amongst the most narcissistic people I can think of at the moment on the UK media scene, and by God, it's a crowded one, isn't it? Yeah? All of the other grifters out there, all the Lotus Eaters and all of the little boys around Rupert Lowe and your Peter Whittle crew, and basically anybody who's anybody in reform. Narcissists. And here is basically Toby Young doing that classic middle class thing about getting upset that somebody isn't working hard enough for him. Yeah, he's paid his fees to the greengrocers, so why won't they deliver him pork chops? And I know they don't sell pork chops, but by God, they could just go to the shop and get some. Anyway, I would hope enormously that they carry on, and I would hope that Loza decides to take someone to court, because you can just feel that that's going to happen, don't you? And once again, he'll stand outside the High Court in London with those chuffing jeans on and those chuffing trainers on, looking like the deadbeat dad that he actually is, complaining bitterly that he'll never play Batman now. Well, Loza, you burned that particular bridge a very long time ago, yeah? I'm afraid the moment you started to get all of those tattoos, you had decided that you weren't going to act anymore. You were a victim of yourself once again, but of course your innate class position won't allow you to admit it, and someone, by God, should pay. Oh, dear God, where do they get these people from? And why is it that so many of those people that are either 14 or mentally 14 decide to pay subs for this kind of thing? Anyway, I wish Loza, the freedom fighter, well. Yes, he's an enemy of the state. Maybe they should make a film about him, but of course, nobody would want to cast him in the lead role. Anyway, do have a lovely Saturday. Do make the most of the last of the weather. I do have the feeling it's going to just grey out, basically. Probably like a metaphor for the entire kingdom. Yeah, speaking of which, of course, we've got Ricky, who might unfortunately become number one this weekend. Still, there's another metaphor there for, how insipid our media culture is. Anyway, do have a lovely one if you can do. And remember, well, don't give Loza Fox anything other than a very wide berth. I mean, if only he'd actually not got kicked out of Harrow. If he'd only managed to actually complete something like an education, we might not be here. Yeah, he might actually have done something else, something useful. But no. Enjoy.